All right, so welcome back to the approach, module number 5. In this one, we're telling you guys what to say to sellers. So you know how to calculate ARV, you know how to make your max level offer, you know how to do everything in terms of getting some leads. But what do you say when you get the leads? So just a quick reminder for those of you who have short-term memory like myself, how do you get leads? We already covered this, but methods of contact: driving for dollars, cold outreach and cold calling, door knocking. Those are your 3 best friends in terms of getting leads. For driving for dollars, all you gotta do, obviously, you find the house, you look at it, you skip trace it, you call it, you say they're looking to sell, bam. Cold outreach and cold calling. This is for if you're using PropStream or Deal Machine, you can extract a list. We showed you guys how to make a targeted list in terms of like pulling foreclosures, tired landlords, high equity, low mortgage remaining, stuff like that. People who might be willing to sell. Those are some of the best lists that you could possibly pull. Or you could pull people who are, say, like 2 to 3 months behind on their mortgage, pre-foreclosures. Those are also great lists to pull because you know more than likely they're gonna be looking to sell pretty soon because they can't afford to make their payments. So when you do that, just make sure you drop them into your preferred skip tracing platform of your choice. We recommend Kind Skip Tracing. We do have a video on how to use PropStream and Kind Skip Tracing. So if you want the easy route, we'll show you exactly how to do it. Watch that video, but you can use any skip tracing software of your choice. There's hundreds out there. Pick whichever you want. And then obviously door knocking is door knocking. You don't need to skip trace somebody. They're in front of you. You're at their door. So yeah, there's that one. So the biggest things you're going to want to know in terms of the approach is, what do I say when I'm face-to-face? What do I say when I'm over the phone? And what do I say over text? Obviously, when you're face-to-face, you're going to have to be over the phone or over text to set a face-to-face appointment. So we'll cover this one last. But we just want to teach you guys what to say, body language, which is going to be in another module, what to say when you get these people on the phone, how to keep them engaged, and how to make sure that you have the best ability to gauging interest and getting a deal under contract. Just a full warning, full disclosure. This is a numbers game. You're going to need to make at least 100 calls before you get to a yes. More than likely, and you might make your first ever call, and you might be super lucky, and they can say, oh, yeah, I'm looking to sell. Bam. You struck gold. Don't fumble that lead because that's extremely hard to do. But you're going to make a lot of calls before you end up getting any traction and actually getting somebody who's interested. We recommend the dialer. We recommend using batch dialer. That way you can just put your list directly in there, and then it'll predictive dial for you, and it'll call. We'll have another video on dialers and everything. That'll be in the resources tab as well. How to use batch dialer in particular. But we recommend using a dialer because it'll save you a lot of time, and that way you can burn through 100 calls in less than 20 minutes without actually having to sit there, wait for someone to reach voicemail, leave them a voicemail, all that jazz. It'll do it for you. So it's pretty powerful. And just so you know, additional ways to get some leads. This is more on the inbound aspect, but letters, postcards, and hangers and emails. Because if they inquire on a letter or postcard that you sent out, they're going to be an inbound lead because even though you did cold outreach, they responded to it. Now it's your turn to get back in touch with them. Biggest thing right here, over the phone. So what do you say? We have a boatload of scripts, resources, templates, everything you need in the resources guide. I'm just going to be telling you this little approaches of what to say when you're over the phone. So, and this little tips and tricks. So first tip and trick, don't sound dead. When I say that, I'm actually going to get a red marker. So little tidbit, sound alive. So don't sound dead when you're over the phone. It sounds very simple, but you'd be surprised of how many people sound like they're not interested in what they're doing. So you can be making your 200th call of the day, your brain's tired, you're maybe listening to some music, you're zoning out. If somebody picks up the phone and says hello, and you're not right there, say, hey, John, how you doing? So don't do that. You want to make sure you're there and like you're ready to go. You can't just be like, hey John, how are you? No, you want to make sure you're full of energy. You want to make sure you're full of life. You want to make sure you're able to convey the point across. And another little tip that I've learned actually recently is sound confused when opening. So a little tip I've learned over my time doing this: when you sound confused when you're opening a call for any business really, if you sound confused, you're gonna get the person just as confused as you're sounding, and they're gonna stay on the line because they're gonna want to know what the fuck you're talking about. So you open up, you're gonna say, hey, is this Nick? And they're gonna say, yeah, who's calling? Like, I just saw him. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to ask you a question, if that's okay with you. You can open like that, or you can just be like, hey, I don't know if I have the right person. I was reaching out in regards to 123 Main Street. I drove past a property recently. I just want to see if you're maybe looking to sell. I'm a local investor. Bam. If you say that and they hang up on you, they're not gonna sell. But the chances of them staying on the line because you sounded slightly confused, or you say, hey, John, just like that, I swear to you, makes a world of a difference. When you're cold calling, when you're warm calling, don't do that. When you're calling a warm lead, they know you're gonna call them. Don't sound confused. They know you're calling them. Or if you have a cold caller and then they pre-qualify the lead and then you call them and they're already warm, don't say, hey John, because then it sounds stupid. You know who you're calling. This only works if you're cold calling. So this is only. So we're gonna put cold only. So the idea of this is to keep them on the phone for more than 3 seconds. So if you can retain them for 3 seconds, humans have such a short attention span nowadays, especially with TikTok, with Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, everything. People's attention span is gone like the span of when I have a short attention span, and I struggle to do this sometimes too. But if you can keep them on the phone for just 3 seconds, you will get past that attention span barrier. Because think about it, you're watching a reel or you're watching a TikTok or something, and if that doesn't gauge your attention within a second, they're gonna hang up. You're gonna scroll, right? This game you have a little more time because if they say hello, you're gonna get a second to respond. So you're the 3 second rule. Make sure you. I'm actually gonna write that up here too. 3 second rule. And for those of you who stuck with us in all the modules, you're gonna know the difference between my writing and Marco's writing. So, but the 3 second rule, absolutely essential. So you want to make sure you gauge their attention off the bat. So again, sounding confused, essential way of doing it. I'm emphasizing it a lot because of how important it is to not fumble that little tidbit. Last but not least, on this, gauge interest immediately. So gauge interest. So gauging interest immediately is essential because you don't want to waste your time. So if there's a lot of sellers out there, or a lot of people that you're going to dial, they're going to intentionally want to waste your time. So it sounds weird, but people do that. Have you ever got a spam call, and if you're just bored on a Saturday morning, or you're bored on Saturday afternoon, and you get a spam call, and you just go along with it. You're just sitting there, you're giving them fake information, you're fucking with them, it's an entire thing. People have done that. I've done that once in the past too. People do that more frequently than you'd expect. So gauge their interest off the bat. You can do this by saying, "Hey, it's John," or "Hey, John." He's just like, "Yeah, who's this?" "Hey, this is Nick Burris, Astra Properties. Just reaching out. I'm a local investor. I drove past 123 Main Street. Just want to see. Are you looking to sell that property?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, I am." And while you're doing this, dude, one of two things: you can pull up PropStream, you can search the property address while you're talking to him. You can make sure he's actually the owner of record, because if you're talking to John Smith, and then you notice on there that the data was wrong, and Susie Lynn is the owner of record on that property, hang up with John. You're not going to get anywhere. He could be her boyfriend or husband, but if she's not looking to sell, if you're not speaking to the seller directly, it's not going to work. If someone's not on the actual property card, they don't have the final say in selling that property. Get off the phone with them, say, "Hey, listen, thanks for your time," or just hang up. It sounds bad, but if you have to, just cut it, because you don't want to waste time. I'm going to emphasize it again. Your time is the most important thing you're going to get in this business. If you gauge somebody's interest and they're not interested at all, don't waste your time. You can hang up, or you can say, "Hey, listen, after I looked at this deal, I don't think it's gonna be a good fit for me and my team. Best of luck. I'll refer you to another investor if I find anybody." Something like that. But you don't want to keep somebody on the phone if they're intentionally wasting your time. Don't get me wrong. You're gonna have good conversations with sellers. If you're dealing with somebody and there's some interest in selling, you're having a good conversation with them, peel back the onion. You want to get to the core of a person, and when I say peel back an onion, you want to get to a core of a person. That way you can know them as a person, and they trust you and they want to do business with you. And that way, when you set a face-to-face appointment, it's a lot easier for you to succeed, and a lot easier because they already trust you over the phone. You've already built some form of connection. Now it's just getting them to a face-to-face appointment. Once they agree to it, you're going to have a lot easier time getting them closed. So these are just a quick few things that you can do just to get somebody's interest over the phone. Again, you want to capture their attention within 3 seconds because it's essential. You don't want them to zone out. You don't want them to lose interest in you, or you don't want them to hang up on you if they are actually interested in selling. So don't hesitate if you don't feel comfortable with all this yet. We're gonna do lots of live trainings. We're gonna have Q&As, a bunch of resources and tools for you guys to use to be able to learn and grow together. We'll do some live calls. We'll do a boatload of things. That way you feel comfortable over the phone and all that good jazz. So you got the phone, you handle all this. Now you gave some interest. Somebody's ready to sell. You set a face-to-face appointment for Tuesday, 10 in the morning. Fantastic. When you go to a face-to-face appointment, some of the most important things I can tell you: body language and reading the person's cues and saying less than they're saying. So, little note that I've learned over my time in the business. I say it like I'm old, but I've been doing it for 5 years now. I've been around the block. We've done a lot of deals. Less is more. So when I say this, we're all humans, right? Don't go to this appointment trying to sell them, trying to make them think you're the best thing on the planet. No, they don't care about you. No offense, I care about you. They don't care about you. People care about what benefits them the most. So just keep that in your head. People care about what benefits them the most. When you're in a face-to-face appointment, you want to have very loose body language. You don't want to be uptight. You don't want to seem nervous. If you're nervous, that's fine, but you don't want to seem uptight. You want to be comfortable in your own skin, and it's going to be easy to do this. You know why? Because you're not going to say a lot. Let them talk. Let them talk themselves into giving you their house, not giving it to you, but signing a contract with you. Letting somebody talk more than you talk will have them sell themselves on you and your process, and B, make them feel a lot more comfortable because they've already expressed everything to you. They told you about their dog, their son, their grandma, their house, how they raised 10 kids in this house. Now they're the status of they have to let it go. They can't keep up with the renovations. It's going to foreclosure. All these a million things. You're just gonna let them talk. And whenever they ask about you, give a 15 to 20-second blurb, and then immediately reflect it back to them. Don't just like don't have them ask you a question and then you just ignore it and you ask them a question. No, give them a 15 to 20-second blurb, whatever you got to say or less, and then immediately reflect it back to them. So if someone says, yes, how long have you been doing this for? Yeah, I've been doing this for about a year or two now. I really love what I do. Yeah, well, I didn't ask you, what do you do? Bam, you're right back to them. Always reflect it back to them. It's called reflecting or deflecting or whatever you want to call it. But deflecting it back to them is an essential way to keep them talking the most, have you learning more about the property, because now you're not only learning more about them, but they're telling you about the house. Oh yeah, I remember my mom never got the septic tank pumped. The house has been vacant for 10 years now. She hasn't got it pumped since she died 15 years ago. And we some of our family moved into the house for 5 years, but they never got it pumped. Now the house was sitting vacant for another 10 years, so the septic hasn't been pumped in 15 years. Isn't that crazy? They just told you a giant red flag, because septics are expensive, especially in Connecticut. You can get a system that ranges from $20,000 to $60,000 over here. So I'm sure in some states, if they have bigger systems, it gets more expensive. So having them talk and having them express their emotions to you, the flaws to you, everything that you need to know. My roof used to leak, but my Uncle Tony patched it. Uncle Tony doesn't know how to patch a roof. Tony the roofer might know how to patch a roof, who has a license and insured roofing company, but Uncle Tony went up there and put a piece of Gorilla Tape on there. It's not going to patch a roof. That's another thing to know. That's another thing to keep in mind when you're putting together your ARV and when you're putting together your offer packet for your buyers. So offer packet is something we're going to talk about in the next module, so don't worry too much about that now. Or not offer packet, like a deal packet. That way everyone sees the deal, but having those little mental notes will allow you to help calculate a better ARV and obviously help you make a much better offer, because if they say, yeah, the septic system is cooked and the leaching fields are bad, it needs a new tank, it hasn't been pumped in 20 years, great, 70% rule all day, figure that out. But if the septic system is shot, go ahead and subtract another 40 grand from your offer, because the septic system as a whole is a lot of fucking money. So you want to make sure you're protected. So definitely make sure you're listening to them. Make sure you do the diligence. Make sure you ask questions too. So don't just sit there and just nod and smile. Make sure you ask them engaging questions about them. So they're talking about their dog. Yeah, what kind of dog do you have? Oh, that's so great. I have a blue heeler Scotch Collie mix at home myself. That's great. It's okay to talk about yourself a little bit, but always never let it go on. There's salespeople out there who, once they get asked a question, they will go on about themselves and about their family, their dog, their cat, their car, how long they've been doing it. They don't care. They don't want to hear what you do, because you're there to provide them a service. It's not about you. If you want to talk to somebody about how you feel, go to the therapist. Go talk to your mom. Talk to a friend. Talk to anybody else, not the seller. Please, I can't describe that enough. I can't tell you how many deals people have lost because they don't know when to shut up. I learned this when I was 20 years old, and used to be a realtor. Less is more. I was trying to sell this lady a house. I was trying to upsell it to her. I didn't know shit about what I was talking about. I was trying to make myself sound good. I was trying to say why it was such a great idea, all this stuff. And she goes, Nick, I used to be an agent. She goes, I understand you're trying to do your job, but don't try and sell me on this. She goes, we both know this isn't what I'm looking for. She goes, one thing I can tell you, less is more. And that stuck with me for the past 5 years. So it stuck with me, and I never forgot it. And to this day, if she didn't say that, I would not be as good of a closer as I am now. Not to my own horn, but I have an easier time closing than most people because I know that one simple trick: less is more. So face-to-face, you got all your information. Now you make them an offer, and they're cool with the offer. You're going to either make the offer on the spot in person and bring a contract with you, or if not, you're going to make the offer via DocuSign over the phone, have them review it. Sit down with them when you make the offer. So if they're on the phone, like, hey, do you have 10 minutes just to review my offer that I'm about to send over? Send it over. When you're reviewing with the seller, they're going to ask you questions about your contract. You want to be able to know what line they're talking about, of like what paragraph, what line they're talking about on your contract, like that. You don't want to be like, oh, let me get back to you on that. It's your contract. No. make sure you know your contracts. That way, if they have any questions at all, you can answer it on the spot, fill it out, send it to them, have them sign it. Bam, you're under contract. Over text, we're going to send you guys text templates. We're going to give you guys text templates. Texting is not that hard. I mean, it's a lot easier than calling, because if they want to respond to you, they're going to respond to you. If they're not going to respond to you, the chance of somebody scamming you or fucking with you over text is significantly less likely, because it takes time to send a message. Unless they're using speech to text, which they're probably not going to do, because they're not going to bother responding to you. They're not going to take the time to text you if they're not actually somewhat interested in selling. They might tell you to fuck off, something like that. If they do, delete them, you're done. You never talk to that person again. But the chance of them trying to fuck with you over text and waste your time, very slim. So texting is powerful. We're going to give you a lot of tools in the resources section to make sure you're fully equipped to send out text campaigns and all that kind of jazz. So that's where we're at with our cold outreach. You're face-to-face with the seller. In the next module, we're going to talk tips and tricks to overcome objections and what to say and all that kind of jazz. But just so you know, over here, this all goes away when you're getting inbound leads. Because if you're getting, so say you're closed a couple of deals, now you have a website, you have a business now created. Now all of a sudden people start to know you have some social presence. You did a couple good deals and that went well, so now you're getting some referrals. Now all of a sudden you're getting some Google ads and Facebook ads running. People starting to know you, starting to know your business more. This does not apply. Like, I'm just gonna cross it off. This does not apply over here with that. So never always sound alive. It's good to sound alive, but don't have the confused tone. Don't try and be like, don't try and pre-qualify them. If they are an inbound lead, they are more than likely pre-qualified. Sure, don't get me wrong. You might have somebody, their house is worth 500, and their house is worth 500, asking 600 for it. That's different. That's not a lead. I mean, it is a lead. You can try and get them down. You can go see, you can go try and gauge some interest. We're going to talk to you guys about Wholesaling 2.0 innovations in our next course that we're going to make in the next month or so. But for now, if they're actually motivated, if there's actually some interest and the price is right, I guarantee you, Google ads, referrals, social presence, that is going to be your best friend in terms of getting warm leads and in terms of getting people who are already somewhat qualified, because they either heard about you, somebody told them about you, or you're running ads and they're actually searching for a quick solution to sell their house. Those are going to be your best friends. Don't sit here and try and sound confused or gauge interest immediately. There's already interest. Everything's done. This is a warm lead. Stacy's calling you. Stacy will fill out a Google ad. She's trying to sell 123 Main Street for $150,000. You ran your comps. You looked at Zillow really quick, and you said, "Oh my God, the house is worth $300,000. This is a fantastic deal." Call Stacy. Hey, Stacy, this is Nick Burns with Astra Properties. How you doing today? She's like, "Oh, Nick, thanks for calling me back. Yeah, I'm good. How about you? Oh, great. Thanks for asking. Yeah, so I just saw you filled out a Google ad about 123 Main Street. So let's see, are you still looking to sell the property? Yes, I am. Bam, you're good to go. You fill the rest of your fucking script. You're gonna get an appointment with her because she already has interest in selling. So inbound leads are a phenomenal way to get actual motivated sellers. It'll save you a lot of effort from cold calling, but you're still gonna have to be on the phone. You're still gonna be confident in what you say. Still gonna be confident in your product, but so inbound leads are pretty essential to getting actual warm leads and making it a lot easier so you don't have to cold call as much. So that is it from Module 5.1. Module 5.2, we're going to tell you about delivery and what to say to people, and also overcoming some objections, some common objections that we face. So I will see you in Module 5.2.